In the cold, silent expanse of space, the Xylar fleet moved with precision. Hundreds of ships glided through the dark void, their metallic hulls reflecting the distant light of stars. Commander Thalor stood on the bridge of the lead vessel, his sharp eyes scanning the star maps. His species had traveled many systems, seeking new worlds to conquer or colonize. But this particular sector was different. "Commander," Elira said softly, her voice almost like a whisper. "There is a planet here that does not match the usual patterns. It is small, blue, and full of life." Thalor narrowed his eyes. Life was common in the galaxy, but something about this planet felt unusual. He leaned forward, resting his hands on the cool control console. "Show me," he commanded. A holographic projection lit the bridge. Below them, a small blue planet rotated slowly, clouds drifting over green lands and vast oceans. Cities glimmered faintly, showing the presence of intelligent life. Elira's fingers danced over the controls, zooming in on the surface. She paused and hesitated, then spoke, her voice trembling slightly. "Commander, I am receiving a signal. It is a warning." Thalor raised an eyebrow. "A warning? From whom?" The console projected a series of symbols. At first they were incomprehensible, shifting too quickly to be understood. Then a pattern emerged. Elira translated as best she could. "Do not attack the humans. They will never yield you." The words echoed through the bridge like a thunderclap. Thalor felt a chill run through him. "Explain," he demanded. "I do not know the origin of the signal," Elira admitted. "It is ancient, perhaps older than our records. But the warning is clear. These humans, they will resist all attempts at conquest. They will never yield." Thalor's mind raced. His species had faced countless civilizations. Some had surrendered immediately. Some had fought briefly before being subdued. And others had been clever but ultimately defeated. Yet this humans? Something about this warning stirred an unease he had never felt before. "Very well," Thalor said finally. "We will observe. No action until we understand. Prepare for approach, but keep all weapons offline. We are here to study, not to provoke." Elira nodded, relief flashing across her face. She had felt the same unease. Humans were small, fragile, and seemingly primitive. But there was something in that warning that demanded respect. Back on Earth, life continued, completely unaware of the watchers in the sky. In New York City, Dr. Mara Lynn adjusted the settings on a solar energy device she had been developing for years. Her invention could store sunlight more efficiently than any previous technology, and she hoped it could provide energy to millions without harming the environment. Her assistant, Jonas, peeked into the lab. "Dr. Lynn, are you sure it's ready for testing?" Mara smiled, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "Every calculation checks out. Today we find out if humans can make the impossible work." Little did she know, high above the earth, eyes that had never blinked watched her carefully. Elira observed Mara's determination with fascination. There was a kind of energy in humans that no alien technology could measure, a combination of stubbornness, creativity, and hope. "They are resilient," Elira whispered to herself, almost in awe. Thalor's ship hovered silently over the Pacific Ocean, hidden by clouds. His crew moved like shadows, monitoring human communications, studying cities, schools, factories, and laboratories. The humans were unpredictable. Sometimes they solved problems in minutes that had baffled civilizations for decades. Sometimes they failed spectacularly but got up and tried again. Every failure seemed to make them stronger. "This is different," Thalor admitted during a meeting with his officers. "We have never seen a species like this." "Elira, explain what you have learned so far." Elira cleared her throat. "Humans have what they call community. They share knowledge, help each other, and adapt constantly. Their technology is crude compared to ours, but their problem-solving is remarkable. Their persistence is unusual, even by advanced species standards." "Persistence is irrelevant if they are weak," one officer said, his voice sharp. "They can be crushed like all others." Thalor shook his head. "Do not underestimate them. That warning is not just a suggestion. We must proceed carefully. Elira, continue your study. Learn everything about these humans. Their behavior, their values, everything." For weeks, the Xylar observed. They watched children learning in schools, communities cooperating to build homes, and leaders negotiating peace. Elira marveled at their ingenuity. One day, she observed a city that had been flooded. Instead of panicking, humans formed teams, rescued those in danger, and rebuilt their homes in record time. They do not panic, Elira reported to Thaler. They adapt. They organize. And they never give up, even in the face of disaster. Thaler frowned. And yet they are small. They have no fleet, no weapons to challenge us directly. Why does the warning matter? Because strength is not always measured in weapons, Elira said softly. It is measured in willpower. Humans have an unyielding will. They fight for each other, for their planet, for ideas. That is why the warning exists. A species like this cannot be defeated through force alone. The commander was silent, considering her words. He had seen armies fall, planets conquered, and civilizations broken. But he had never faced a species that thrived on resilience itself. On Earth, Dr. Mara Lin's device worked perfectly. The first solar energy test exceeded expectations, lighting up an entire city without any external power. News of her invention spread quickly, inspiring humans everywhere to think bigger, to dream more boldly. Elira watched from above. They do not yield, she repeated. Even when the odds are against them, they rise. Thaler's eyes softened as he observed the human's determination. He began to feel something unfamiliar: respect. The Xylar were conquerors, yes, but here was a species that demanded a different approach, one that required understanding, patience, and, perhaps, friendship. Prepare a small craft, he ordered. I want to meet them, to see this unyielding nature firsthand. But no aggression. Let us learn, not conquer. Elira smiled. For the first time, she felt hope for her species. Perhaps humans were not a threat, but a lesson. Perhaps in understanding them, the Xylar could learn something even greater than conquest: the power of perseverance, creativity, and unity. As the small Xylar craft descended toward Earth, hidden from human eyes by clouds and technology, the planet continued its quiet spin. Children played in parks, scientists worked in labs, and communities thrived against challenges. The humans were unaware of the silent watchers above, unaware that a message had warned alien civilizations about their unyielding nature. But soon, that message would be tested. The Xylar would witness the true spirit of humanity, not through battle, but through courage, ingenuity, and the refusal to ever give up. The small Xylar craft hovered silently above the outskirts of New York City, hidden behind drifting clouds. Elira's eyes scanned the human activity below. People moved with purpose, sometimes hurried, sometimes relaxed, but always adapting to the chaos of life. She had spent weeks observing from afar, and each day brought new discoveries. These humans are strange, she whispered to herself. They fail often, but they rise. They argue, they fight sometimes, but they always find a way forward. Their persistence is remarkable. Commander Thaler stood beside her in the observation chamber, his long arms folded. Explain what you have learned so far, he said. His voice carried authority, but beneath it was curiosity, a feeling he rarely experienced. Elira projected images of human life: schools where children learned mathematics through games, hospitals where doctors and nurses worked tirelessly to save lives, cities rebuilt after storms and floods. They are organized in small communities, she explained. Yet their communication extends far beyond their borders. They share knowledge, resources, and ideas. Even when challenged, they find ways to cooperate. Thaler studied the images carefully. They have no advanced fleet, no technology comparable to ours. Why does the warning matter? Strength is more than weapons, Elira replied. Humans have an unyielding will. When threatened, they fight with creativity and teamwork. Even when outnumbered or outmatched, they never surrender completely. That is why the warning exists. Force alone will not defeat them. The commander fell silent, contemplating her words. His species had conquered countless worlds, but humans were unlike any civilization they had ever faced. Their resilience was not just physical, it was mental, emotional, and cultural. Elira decided to observe a nearby human laboratory, where Dr. Mara Lin had recently made a breakthrough. The device she had created could store and distribute solar energy more efficiently than anything the human world had seen. The Xylar had watched her work, fascinated not only by the invention but by her determination. Mara worked late into the night, adjusting circuits, calibrating sensors, and testing energy outputs. Jonas, her assistant, occasionally brought coffee or notes, but Mara rarely spoke beyond what was necessary. She was focused, persistent, and tireless, a perfect example of the human's unyielding nature. Elira transmitted images to Thalor, who leaned forward in interest. She works tirelessly despite repeated failures, he noted. Most species would abandon such a project after repeated mistakes. They do not abandon, Elira replied. They learn, adapt, and try again. That is their power. Outside the lab, humans continued their busy lives. Children played in parks, construction workers built new homes, and small businesses thrived despite challenges. Elira noticed patterns. Humans worked in teams, communicated constantly, and shared solutions. They argued at times, but disagreements never stopped progress. This is fascinating, she said, recording data for analysis. Even when resources are limited, they find creative ways to achieve their goals. They rely on trust and collaboration even with strangers. That is very unusual for a species at this stage of development. Thalor considered this carefully. If we attempt conquest, they may not surrender, even if we outmatch them technologically. They will resist in ways we cannot predict, Elira nodded. Exactly. Their resilience is not obvious at first glance. They seem fragile, but their spirit is incredibly strong. To understand humans better, Elira chose to observe them more closely. She disguised her craft using light-bending technology, allowing her to move through cities unnoticed. She watched a school during recess where children of all ages played games that required teamwork and problem-solving. They negotiated rules, created strategies, and adapted to challenges quickly. Even when someone lost, they encouraged each other and tried again. They do not quit, Elira reported to Thalor. Even at a young age, they demonstrate resilience, creativity, and determination. These qualities persist into adulthood. Thalor studied the data carefully. And their leadership? How do they organize society? They elect leaders, form councils, and make decisions collectively in many cases, Elira explained. Their leaders are not always perfect, but humans value fairness and collaboration. When one leader fails, another rises. Their society adapts, just like individuals adapt to challenges. The next observation took Elira to a hospital in a human city. Doctors and nurses worked tirelessly, often without rest, treating patients with limited resources. When a sudden shortage of supplies occurred, the staff coordinated quickly, sharing tools, improvising equipment, and calling on other hospitals for help. The patients were calm, trusting the humans around them to solve problems. They are remarkable, Elira said quietly. They rely on teamwork and ingenuity. They do not panic. They focus on solutions instead of despair. Thalor's eyes narrowed. This is unlike anything we have seen. Most species collapse under pressure, even if they appear organized. Humans thrive in adversity. They rise when others fall, Elira nodded. That is why the warning exists. Any attempt to attack them directly would fail. Their will is stronger than our technology. They do not surrender easily. Even when faced with danger, they find a way to protect themselves and their community. Days passed, and Elira continued to learn from humans. She visited scientists collaborating on renewable energy projects, engineers designing earthquake-resistant buildings, and volunteers helping refugees in distant lands. Everywhere she went, she saw the same patterns: determination, creativity, and cooperation. Humans face challenges constantly: natural disasters, diseases, political disagreements, but they never gave up. They improvised, adapted, and worked together to overcome obstacles. Elira marveled at their unyielding nature. One evening, she observed a small village that had been flooded by a river. Residents worked together, building temporary shelters, rescuing trapped animals, and sharing food and clothing. Children helped older villagers, and strangers assisted each other without hesitation. The humans were tired, wet, and cold, but they worked relentlessly until the crisis passed. They never stop, Elira whispered to Thalor. Even in extreme hardship, they continue. That is extraordinary. Thalor considered her words carefully. We have faced many species. Some surrender immediately. Some fight briefly before being defeated. But humans, they resist at every level. Their spirit cannot be broken easily. Perhaps that is what the warning truly meant. Elira decided to communicate indirectly with the humans to learn more. Using mathematical patterns and visual symbols, she sent small messages that could be interpreted by humans who studied science and technology. Dr. Mara Lin received one of these transmissions while working in her lab late at night. At first, Mara thought it was a simulation or an experimental error, but the patterns were too precise to be random. They showed calculations, energy flow, and suggestions for improving her solar device. She worked through them carefully, testing ideas she had never considered before. The result was a minor but significant improvement in energy efficiency. "They are helping us," Jonas said, noticing Mara's excitement. "Who or what is this?" Mara smiled, feeling a strange connection to an unknown intelligence. "I don't know," she replied, "but they seem to understand our thinking. And they want to see us succeed." Elira observed Mara and her team closely. She realized humans were not just persistent, they were curious. They did not fear the unknown. They embraced it. They sought knowledge, asked questions, and collaborated openly to solve problems. "This is their greatest strength," Elira reported to Thalor. "They never yield because they never stop learning, never stop trying, and never stop working together. Their spirit cannot be crushed no matter the odds." Thalor nodded slowly. "Perhaps we have misunderstood them. We have approached new species with the assumption that force will prevail. But humans require a different approach. Observation, respect, understanding." The Xylar fleet maintained its distance, continuing to monitor Earth quietly. Elira compiled detailed reports on human behavior, their society, and their remarkable resilience. Each report reinforced the same truth. Humans were unyielding not because of strength or weapons, but because of willpower, ingenuity, and collaboration. One evening, Elira and Thalor stood together on the observation deck of their ship, looking down at the small blue planet. Cities sparkled with lights, rivers flowed peacefully, and humans moved through their lives with determination and hope. "They are remarkable," Elira said softly. "They will never yield because they refuse to stop, refuse to give in, and refuse to surrender their ideas and dreams." Thalor remained silent for a long moment. Then he spoke, his voice calm but resolute. "We will not attack them, not because we are afraid, but because we respect them. If force cannot break them, then perhaps understanding can. Let us learn from them. Let us see if we can become allies instead of conquerors." Elira smiled. For the first time she felt hope, not just for humans but for her own species. Perhaps the future was not conquest and domination, but cooperation and friendship. The sun rose over New York City, painting the skyline in gold and orange. People moved through the streets, busy with their morning routines, unaware of the silent craft hovering above. The small Xylar vessel, invisible to the human eye, floated gently above the tallest buildings. Inside, Elira adjusted the sensors, her large eyes scanning the bustling world below. "Commander," she said, her voice steady but full of anticipation, "I believe the time has come. We must make contact. Observation alone can only tell us so much. We need to see how humans respond directly." Thalor stood beside her, his long fingers brushing the smooth railing of the observation deck. "Are you certain?" he asked. "Any direct action could be risky. These humans are different. They are persistent, clever, unyielding. We must proceed carefully." "I am certain," Elira replied. "They will not respond with fear or aggression. They will test the situation, analyze it, and adapt. We need to understand that spirit firsthand." Thalor considered her words. After days of observation, he had begun to respect humans in a way he had never respected any species. He nodded. "Prepare the approach. Let us meet them, peacefully." The Xylar craft descended slowly into Central Park, using advanced light-bending technology to remain invisible until the last moment. As the ship came closer, the cloaking effect gradually faded, revealing a sleek silver vessel hovering silently above the grass. People stopped, staring in awe. Phones were raised, cameras clicked, but no one screamed. No one ran. Dr. Marilyn, who had been walking through the park, paused mid-step. Her eyes widened as she saw the shimmering craft. "Jonas, look," she said, pointing. "Do you see that?" Jonas followed her gaze, his mouth open. It's a ship. From somewhere else." The craft's surface rippled like liquid silver. A panel opened, revealing Elira's tall, elegant form. Her skin glowed faintly under the morning sun, and her large, expressive eyes seemed gentle and curious. "Humans," Elira said, her voice clear but calm, amplified by the ship's communication system. "We come in peace. We wish to learn from you, to understand your species. I am Elira, emissary of the Xylar. We mean no harm." The crowd murmured, some in disbelief, some in awe. Mara stepped forward instinctively. Her scientific curiosity overcame her fear. I'm Dr. Marilyn. You You can speak our language? Yes, Illyra replied. We have been observing your species for some time. We are aware of your achievements, your creativity, and your unyielding nature. That is why we have come to meet you directly, Jonas whispered, barely audible. Unyielding? Mara nodded slowly. I think she means humans never give up. That fits with everything I know about people. Thaler's voice came from the ship, deep and resonant. We have watched your world. We have seen how your species adapts, innovates, and perseveres. Our leaders once debated whether to attack your planet, but a warning told us, do not attack the humans. They will never yield you. Now we understand why. A hushed silence fell over the crowd. Humans were facing an alien species, a species capable of domination, and yet they were not aggressive. They were respectful. Mara stepped forward. Why are you here? Why observe us? Why help us? Illyra tilted her head slightly. Because we wish to understand. Your persistence, your cooperation, and your creativity are remarkable. We have never seen anything like it. Other species would collapse under pressure, but your species rises. That is why we are here, to learn and, perhaps, to form a friendship. The crowd's initial fear faded, replaced by curiosity. Humans had always wondered if life existed beyond Earth, but seeing it, so close, so real, was overwhelming. Mara gestured toward her lab. We've been working on a solar energy device. Maybe we can show you our work, Illyra nodded. We have seen your work from afar. It is impressive. We would like to understand it directly. Mara turned to Jonas. Let's take them to the lab. Jonas looked nervous but nodded. I guess we can. The Xylar craft lowered itself gently to the lab's courtyard. Illyra stepped out, walking carefully, observing the humans' reactions. She noticed Mara's determination, Jonas's curiosity, and the subtle way the humans adapted to the situation without panic. This is what we have observed, Illyra said softly to Thalor, who watched from the craft. They do not freeze in fear. They assess, they adapt, they act. They are remarkable. Thalor remained silent, a rare expression of thoughtfulness on his face. Inside the lab, Mara explained the solar energy device in detail. Jonas assisted with demonstrations. Illyra asked questions, her eyes wide with interest. She touched the panels, adjusted sensors, and observed how the humans experimented and learned from mistakes. They learn through action, Illyra said to Thalor. They do not simply follow instructions, they experiment, adapt, and improve. Their creativity is limitless. Thalor nodded slowly. This is different from any species we have encountered. They rely on intuition, collaboration, and persistence. They do not yield under pressure. Mara noticed the interest in Illyra's gaze. Do you understand why we do this? She asked. Illyra paused. We are beginning to. Your species values cooperation, fairness, and learning. Even when faced with challenges, you do not give up. That is why we are here, to understand the unyielding nature of humans. Outside the lab, news of the alien appearance spread quickly. Scientists, journalists, and ordinary citizens gathered, observing safely from a distance. No one acted violently. No one attacked the Xylar. Humans were cautious but calm. They asked questions, shared information, and worked together to ensure safety. Illyra observed these interactions with fascination. Even in unexpected situations, they do not panic. They organize, they collaborate, they adapt. Their spirit is extraordinary, Thalor agreed. We must reconsider our approach. Humans are not a species to conquer through force. Any attempt would fail. Respect and understanding are required. Over the following days, Illyra and Mara worked closely together. Illyra asked about human history, achievements, and struggles. Mara explained how humans overcame wars, natural disasters, and technological challenges. Each story revealed a pattern of persistence, cooperation, and innovation. They never give up, Illyra said repeatedly. Even when the odds are against them, they rise. They are unyielding, Mara smiled. That's what we do. We face challenges, we adapt, and we keep trying. We don't always succeed, but we never stop. Illyra nodded, recording every word. This is what makes humans exceptional. You are not the strongest physically. You are not the fastest or the most technologically advanced. But your spirit, your determination, it is unparalleled. Thalor held a council with his officers aboard the Xylar fleet. We have observed humans directly, he announced. They do not fear us. They do not yield easily. They adapt, collaborate, and persist. Force will not conquer them. The warning was accurate. Any attack would fail. One officer spoke cautiously. Then what should we do, Commander? Learn, Thalor replied. Observe, understand. Perhaps in understanding humans we can find a way to coexist. Respect is more powerful than force. Humans will teach us this lesson if we are willing to listen. Elira watched from the observation window, a faint smile on her face. I believe they are ready to teach us, she whispered. We only need to pay attention. The humans continued their work, unknowing of the deep respect growing in the hearts of the Xylar. Dr. Mara Lynn's inventions progressed, inspired by both human ingenuity and the subtle guidance of Elira's observations. Humans collaborated, shared knowledge, and solved problems creatively. Elira reported to Thalor. They do not yield because they do not accept defeat as final. Each challenge is an opportunity to learn, to grow, to improve. That is their unyielding nature. Thalor nodded. Then we will proceed with patience. We will meet, learn, and respect. Humans are not a threat to conquer. They are a species to understand and perhaps a species to befriend. As the Xylar craft hovered above the lab that evening, the humans continued their work, unaware that their courage, persistence, and cooperation had already won the admiration of an entire alien species. And in that quiet, unassuming moment, the first steps toward friendship between humans and Xylar were quietly but firmly laid. Humans had met aliens, but they had done so on their own terms. They were curious, intelligent, and unyielding, and for the first time an alien civilization truly understood what it meant to face a species that would never give up. The lesson was clear. Do not attack humans. They will never yield. The Xylar fleet remained in orbit around Earth, hidden from human detection but closely observing every corner of the planet. Commander Thalor paced on the bridge of the lead vessel, his long legs carrying him steadily across the smooth floor. He was deep in thought. They are remarkable, he said quietly, almost to himself. Their ingenuity, their spirit, it is unlike anything we have seen. Yet we have only observed. We must understand the full extent of their unyielding nature. Elira, standing beside him, nodded. If we wish to truly know humans, we must test them. Not to harm, but to see how they respond under pressure. Only then can we understand what it means to be unyielding. Thalor's eyes narrowed. A challenge, yes. Something that forces them to work together, to think creatively, to rise above obstacles. We must observe carefully, no interference unless necessary. Let them show their true nature. Elira proposed the challenge. A massive asteroid was on a collision course with Earth. The asteroid was large enough to threaten entire regions, yet small enough that humans could prevent a catastrophe if they worked together. This will test everything we have observed, Elira explained. Their creativity, cooperation, and persistence. If they can overcome this, we will truly understand the meaning of unyielding. Thalor agreed. Make the scenario visible to humans but remain undetected. Let them believe it is a natural threat, not a test. Observe their response, their ability to unite and innovate. On Earth, scientists detected unusual readings. The asteroid, previously unknown, was approaching rapidly. News channels buzzed with the announcement. A potentially devastating space object was heading toward Earth. Governments, research institutes, and private organizations sprang into action. Dr. Mara Lynn, already renowned for her solar energy breakthrough, was immediately contacted by an international scientific council. Dr. Lynn, your expertise in energy systems could be crucial, one official said. We need all available minds working together. Mara looked out of her lab window, the city glowing under the rising sun. She nodded. We can't waste time. Let's begin immediately. Across the globe, humans reacted in ways Elira had anticipated. Teams formed across countries, sharing data, technology, and resources. Scientists and engineers coordinated experiments, testing potential solutions to divert the asteroid. Schools and universities became centers of innovation, as students and teachers contributed ideas and calculations. Elira watched with awe. They are unyielding, she said softly. They do not panic. They do not fight each other. They organize, collaborate, and adapt. Every individual contributes to the solution. Thalor, observing from the Xylar bridge, frowned in admiration. Other species would collapse under such pressure. Humans, they rise. Their spirit cannot be broken, even when faced with extinction. Mara and her team devised a plan. A combination of solar-powered propulsion devices and precise gravitational calculations could create a controlled deflection of the asteroid. Governments supported the effort, providing materials, technology, and manpower. Jonas, working late into the night, marveled at the coordination. "It's amazing," he said. "People who don't even know each other are working together as if they were one team." Mara smiled. "That's humans. When faced with a real challenge, we set aside differences and focus on what matters." Elira recorded every detail. She noted the innovation, the resilience, and the cooperation. Even when setbacks occurred, failed tests, miscalculations, communication delays, humans did not give up. They adapted quickly, learning from mistakes and trying again. As the asteroid drew closer, the pressure increased. International collaboration reached unprecedented levels. Engineers designed a network of solar energy devices that could generate a massive push against the asteroid. Scientists calculated trajectories while programmers coordinated control systems. Children in schools were inspired to contribute, solving complex mathematical problems as part of competitions designed to find optimal solutions. Volunteers helped build equipment, transport materials, and provide support. Elira observed it all with fascination. They are remarkable. They do not yield because they believe in solutions in each other and in the possibility of success. Thaler nodded slowly. This is what the warning meant. Attack them and they will resist in every way possible. They do not give up because surrender is not in their nature. Even faced with overwhelming odds, they persist. Days passed and the asteroid approached dangerously close. Tension grew, yet humans remained focused. Mara and her team worked around the clock, testing final adjustments to the deflection system. Each attempt brought improvements and every failure led to new ideas. Finally, the network was ready. Using solar-powered propulsion devices positioned strategically around the world, humans initiated the plan. The asteroid's trajectory began to shift gradually but steadily, diverting it from Earth's path. Elira observed silently, her glowing eyes wide with admiration. "They are succeeding," she said softly. "Through cooperation, ingenuity, and persistence, they are achieving the impossible." Thaler remained silent, watching the data streams with a mixture of awe and respect. They are unyielding, not because of strength or weapons, but because of willpower, creativity, and unity. That is why the warning exists. That is why no species can conquer them. When the asteroid safely passed Earth, cheers erupted across the globe. Humans hugged, cried, and celebrated together. They had saved their planet through collaboration, persistence, and intelligence. Mara leaned back, exhausted but triumphant. Jonas grinned beside her. "We did it," he said. "We really did it," Mara nodded. "Not just us. Everyone contributed. That's what makes humans, humans." Elira transmitted her report to Thalor. "They have passed the test. Their unyielding nature is absolute. They face challenges, adapt, innovate, and never surrender. This is not just a species. It is a force of perseverance and creativity." Thalor's expression softened, a rare smile appearing on his face. "We have learned much from them. Respect is the only proper approach. We do not conquer them. We honor their spirit, their resilience, and their unyielding will." The Xyler fleet, previously silent and distant, now regarded Earth with admiration rather than strategy. Elira continued to interact with Mara, sharing knowledge and learning from human ingenuity. Together, they began to explore possibilities for cooperation rather than conflict. Humans, unaware of the alien observation, celebrated their achievement. They had faced a crisis that threatened the entire planet, and had overcome it not with weapons or force but with intelligence, creativity, and collaboration. "This is the essence of humanity," Elira said. "They do not yield because they believe in each other, in solutions, and in the possibility of success no matter the odds." Thaler nodded. "Then we will not interfere. They have earned our respect. This planet, this species, it is to be protected, not conquered. We will learn from them and perhaps they will learn from us. But we must never underestimate their unyielding nature again." As night fell on Earth, lights glimmered in cities, towns, and villages. Humans rested briefly, knowing that tomorrow would bring new challenges. Yet their spirit remained unbroken. They had faced a threat that could have destroyed their world and had risen above it through unity, innovation, and perseverance. Elira observed from her ship, a quiet pride in her eyes. "They have proven themselves," she whispered. "Not through war, not through strength, but through the unyielding power of will and cooperation. They are worthy of respect." Thaler, standing beside her, looked down at the planet. "We have been warned. We have witnessed the truth. Humans will never yield, and perhaps that is a lesson the galaxy needs to learn." For the first time, humans and Xylar shared an unspoken understanding. The humans' ingenuity and persistence had not only saved their planet, they had earned the admiration of an advanced alien civilization. And the bond that would grow between species was built not on fear, but on respect, cooperation, and the recognition of unyielding spirit. Elira turned to Thalor. "They are ready for more than observation. Perhaps one day we can interact fully as allies, not observers." Thaler nodded. "Yes, but for now we watch and learn, and we honor their unyielding nature. Let the galaxy understand. Humans do not yield, and their spirit cannot be broken." Above Earth, the Xylar fleet remained silent but vigilant, witnessing the triumph of a species that had proven itself beyond doubt. And on the planet below, humans continued their lives, brilliant, determined, and unyielding, ready to face whatever challenges the universe might bring. Earth had returned to its usual rhythm after the crisis. The asteroid that threatened the planet was safely diverted, leaving humans in awe of their own capabilities. People celebrated quietly, not fully understanding the scale of what they had accomplished, but feeling proud nonetheless. High above the planet, the Xylar fleet remained in orbit. Unlike the days before, the ships were no longer hidden. They hovered respectfully, visible but non-threatening. Elira and Thalor watched Earth with admiration. They had witnessed humanity rise to its greatest challenge yet, not through violence, not through force, but through ingenuity, persistence, and unity. Thalor broke the silence. "I have seen enough. Humans are not a species to conquer. They are a species to respect. Force will not bend them, and any attempt to attack would fail. They are unyielding, and that is their greatest strength." Elira nodded. "It is more than strength. They inspire each other. They trust each other. They grow stronger through collaboration. They are exceptional." Thalor considered her words carefully. "Then our next step is clear. We do not interfere. We do not conquer. We approach them not as invaders, but as learners. Perhaps in time, they will become our allies." On Earth, Dr. Mara Lynn and her team were still working tirelessly. The successful deflection of the asteroid had inspired a renewed energy across scientific communities worldwide. Collaboration between nations, companies, and universities had reached unprecedented levels. People from every corner of the planet were contributing in some way, whether through research, engineering, or simply sharing knowledge. Elira, descending quietly to the surface, made her first direct contact with Mara and her team outside the lab. Her tall, glowing form attracted curious eyes, but no one ran or panicked. Mara stepped forward, her heart racing, but her mind focused. You're here again," she said cautiously, studying Elira's features. "Yes," Elira replied softly. "I have come to meet those who inspired my people. You humans have shown an unyielding spirit. We have witnessed your ingenuity, your collaboration, and your persistence. You have faced great challenges and risen above them." Mara's eyes widened. "All we did was work together. We never gave up, but you were watching?" Elira smiled faintly. "We observed from afar, but your actions spoke louder than any words. Humans do not yield because you face challenges with courage and creativity, not fear or aggression." Jonas, standing beside Mara, whispered in awe, "They're real, and they understand us." Elira explained that the Xylar wished to form a relationship based on mutual respect and cooperation. Thalor himself would eventually visit Earth, but for now, Elira acted as the bridge between species. She encouraged humans to share their knowledge openly, just as they had during the asteroid crisis, and in return, Xylar technology could be offered to help humanity solve problems more efficiently and safely. Mara and Jonas exchanged glances. "We could learn so much from them," Mara said. "And maybe we could teach them too. We have ways of thinking that they might not understand." Elira nodded. "Exactly. That is the beginning of friendship. Respect does not come from fear or dominance, it comes from understanding, learning, and cooperation. Meanwhile, News of the alien presence spread across the world. But unlike previous human-alien encounters in history, fear was replaced with curiosity and wonder. People were cautious but eager to learn. Governments and organizations reached out to scientific leaders, forming teams to study Xylar knowledge, aiming to combine human creativity with alien technology responsibly. Elira observed these developments and reported back to Thaler. They are careful, but they are eager to learn. They do not act recklessly, nor do they demand power. Humans understand balance. They seek knowledge, not domination. Their spirit is extraordinary. Thaler, floating silently in his ship above Earth, allowed himself a rare smile. They are what the warning promised. Attack them and they would never yield. Respect them, and they may become allies who surpass any expectation. As the weeks passed, Mara and Elira worked closely to bridge human and Xylar knowledge. Humans contributed innovative ideas for sustainable energy, environmental protection, and healthcare, while Elira shared advanced technologies that could amplify human efforts without overriding human ingenuity. Jonas watched the collaboration unfold, amazed by the pace of learning. "It's incredible," he said. "We're learning things we never thought possible, and they're learning from us too." Mara smiled. "That's what makes humans unyielding. We face challenges, we collaborate, and we never stop trying. Technology, ideas, creativity, they all grow when people work together." Elira nodded. "I see it now. That is the essence of your species. Strength lies not in force, but in perseverance, collaboration, and the willingness to grow together." The Xylar fleet gradually revealed itself to humanity in stages, always non-threatening. They established observation posts near research centers, hospitals, and universities, where both species could interact safely. The collaboration was unprecedented. Humans adapted Xylar technologies, and Xylar learned about human problem-solving, innovation, and creativity. Thaler eventually visited Earth personally, landing a sleek Xylar ship near a research facility. Humans approached carefully but not fearfully. Mara greeted him, standing beside Elira. "Commander Thaler," she said, bowing slightly, a gesture of respect. Thaler inclined his head. "Humans, I have come to witness the species that cannot be conquered. Your ingenuity and persistence have been enlightening. Your unyielding nature is unmatched in the galaxy." Mara smiled humbly. "We just try our best and we work together. That's all we know." "You do more than you know," Thaler replied. "You teach lessons to civilizations far beyond your own. You are unyielding, not through strength, but through spirit. That is why no one can conquer you." With time, human-Xylar collaboration expanded. Educational programs were formed to teach both species about each other's history, science, and culture. Joint projects on sustainable energy, planetary defense, and medical advancements flourished. Humans demonstrated their ingenuity while Xylar shared advanced insights, but always with careful guidance, never replacing human initiative. Elira observed quietly, proud of the humans and the new relationship forming. "They are truly unyielding," she said. "They face every challenge with determination and cooperation. They grow stronger because they refuse to give up." Thaler added, "And in respecting them, we have learned something important. Force is never the answer with a species like this. Understanding, patience, and cooperation. That is how to achieve greatness together." Mara reflected on the past weeks. Humanity had faced an existential threat and succeeded through collaboration and creativity. Now they were engaging with a species far more advanced, yet still learning from them while contributing their own ideas. Humans were proving once again that their greatest power lay in their determination and unity. Jonas spoke quietly beside her. "They warned the Xylar not to attack us, and now I understand why. Humans don't give up. We never yield," Mara smiled. "And maybe that's why we're meant to teach and learn at the same time. We have so much potential when we work together." Elira nodded. "Indeed. Humans are not just survivors, they are leaders, innovators, and allies. Their unyielding nature inspires even the most advanced civilizations." The story of humans and Xylar spread across the galaxy in subtle ways. Other alien civilizations learned that Earth's inhabitants were not to be underestimated. Humans were no longer a species to fear, but a species to respect and potentially to collaborate with. Their ingenuity, persistence, and willingness to work together had secured not only their planet, but their place in the stars. Thaler stood on the bridge of his ship one last time before leaving Earth's orbit. "Observe carefully," he told Elira. "Humanity is extraordinary. They will face challenges we cannot imagine. Yet they will rise. They will never yield, and that is their greatest gift." Elira nodded, watching the small blue planet spinning peacefully below. "They are worthy of respect, of friendship, and of learning. And they will continue to grow, always unyielding." On Earth, humans continued their lives, unaware of the full scale of what they had accomplished in the eyes of the Xylar. Communities thrived, inventions flourished, and collaboration became a new standard for problem-solving worldwide. And above them, the Xylar fleet observed, no longer as conquerors, but as allies and students of human ingenuity. They had learned the lesson of the warning firsthand. Humans would never yield. Their spirit was indomitable, their will unbreakable, and their creativity unmatched. Elira looked down at the planet, smiling. Humans do not fight for power. They fight for ideas, for progress, for each other, and that is why they will never yield. That is why they are extraordinary. Thaler, standing beside her, nodded in agreement. Let the galaxy learn this lesson as well. Attack them and you will fail. Respect them and you may gain allies stronger than any weapon. Humans are unyielding, and that is their true strength. Above the Earth, the sun rose again, casting light across the planet. Life continued, brilliant, determined, and unyielding. Humanity had proven itself to be a species unlike any other, an example of perseverance, collaboration, and hope for the galaxy.